Henry, welcome. Yeah. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
So, born and raised on Pine Ridge?
Born and raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Helen said you left. You went to had a career as a steel worker, and came back and wanted to make a difference, right?
Yeah, structural steel I was involved in.
Yeah.
And had a great time at it, but my heart was always at home.
Were you involved with building buildings and assembling steel or manufacturing steel?
Building high rises.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
So you're one of those guys that could climb around on the steel structure. And
Yeah. I had so much fun at it.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty natural.
And then you came home and you thought there was had to be something you could do to improve the life for your basically your people.
Yeah, I was each time that I was up 60 to 80 stories, I was always looking towards home, Nick. Wondering, thinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you, as Helen mentioned, you started just building houses, right?
Yeah, I arrived home thinking that, we all seek this American dream, a home, a family, and a job. And with that mentality, I arrived back home in Pine Ridge, and I was so astonished that that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I would start helping in some little way. And I found that putting the example, putting the awareness out there, and so I got involved on the Front Range of Colorado. I would show up where there was natural build happening and saying, "Hey, look, I'm here from the neck on down." And I stayed in my truck and just learned everything that I could, Nick.
Yeah. And then took those skills back.
Yeah, within the house natural build, then I start thinking about energy and stumbled across various people in the field, like my dear friend Bob Goff, and who inspired me, as well as Winona LaDuke, and saying, "Look, you ought to start looking towards renewables."
Right. No, we've had conversations with both Bob and Winona on eTown about these things, and I think it's important to remember that the conditions that your people were living in were, the poverty rate is astronomical, right?
Yeah, it's really high there.
Do you know what it is? It's like,
Poverty level's like 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you had this opportunity to try to make a difference and help, and of course renewable energy could be incorporated both into building and also just helping people stay warm in the winter.
Oh yeah, helping people to live a hopeful life.
Yeah. So what was the first, I'm always curious about the early stages, like the first steps you can take, because here you are, you've got some skills, you've got some interests, you've learned the trades that you could bring back, and you come back home. What are the first things you can do to try to really make an impact?
Well, I started putting awareness out there, building the awareness, putting small projects out there, and start creating the awareness to where people can become empowered, creating economic opportunities, creating a healthier lifestyle, and
through these installations of renewable energy, was it solar heaters or what were the actual things you're building?
It actually started out Winona. She went and shared a solar air furnace made of soda pop cans. So I took that and I replicated pretty as much as I could at that time, and I was overwhelmed and surprised on how nice and how efficient and how it worked.
Wild.
And I built a system there, and I was so excited about it, and it was like I was the lone solar warrior there at the time. And I didn't know who to share it with, and I was so excited about it, and that's how I ran into I met Trees, Water, and People based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Here, they came. Richard Fox, who was in the audience at that time, was the executive director, and they came with a solar air furnace. And I had to turn around, and I volunteered at that time. And I shared what I was doing with them, and we built a natural partnership because we were doing the same thing.
Yeah. So you were able to then have a whole nother, volunteer base and some technology and some new skills that you could bring back to your people.
Oh yeah.
So then what happened? Did you train people?
Yes, within that, we opened the doors to Lakota Solar Enterprises back in '03. Through that, we were able to install over 400 systems. The first 200 were bought off the shelf. And one day we accidentally slipped one of the 4 by 8 foot collectors, and it cracked the glass. So we said, okay, we're going to take this back to the shop and see what we can do with it. See if we can repair the glass. And I started to think and say, what makes this work, Nick? How does it work? So we took it apart. We took it apart, and then with some, again, with, trees, water people, we looked and see who was, doing what, and then we got some, technical support from a guy in Colorado Springs, which we built the first solar air furnace. And I was totally surprised, and my very first thoughts on it, Nick, was jobs.
Yeah.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you decided to make your own panels.
So we, from that point, we start, manufacturing. We manufactured the next 200, and since then it's been over 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how is this funded? How do you buy the materials that you need and install the units?
Well, through our partnership with trees, water, and people.
Yeah.
We're able to apply for grants, look for funding, and being able to bring this out, and also working with the tribes, Nick. Overall, there's 567 federally recognized tribes throughout the country, Nick. 280 of those tribes are not federally recognized, so there's multiple tribes here in a country. So working with them in partnership through their tribal programs, bringing this forward and creating economic opportunity for tribes, and as well as savings, and then starting to lessen their carbon moccasin print in a process.
And then and providing employment, because you're training and you're making this thing. So you're able to give jobs to folks. And so this is spread beyond Pine Ridge.
It's spread. It's beyond. We're currently in the Northern Plains working with 42 of the greater Northern Plain tribes on their clean energy projects. We're all at the residential scale. Grandma saves. People go to work. Mm-hmm. And imagine yourself being a young boy. Dad's working, mom's working, you got a brand new pair of shoes, and you're skipping to school. As well as you're creating a healthier environment. People are much warmer. Children sleep warmer, and being excited to go to school, not freezing all night, and then being cold half the day trying to learn something. Mm-hmm. But a comfortable life, and building that.
Are you able to also make the connection, because we have a fantasy that Native people have a deep connection to the land. We have a presumption that that's something that exists. But is this getting the benefit from the sun in some ways reinforcing that and reintroducing that to a younger generation?
Yes, it is, Nick. Renewable energy plays a huge role in Native communities. For my tribe, the Oglala Lakota, as well as numerous tribes, all based around coexisting with the earth and looking towards a life-giving force. Meaning the life force. The life-giving force is the sun that creates everything, creates the wind, evaporates water, drops water back down. And so we're taking this new way, Nick.
Yeah.
and honoring that old way and then becoming sustainable, independent, and creating our own.
That's really cool. Now, I know that it's not exactly a renewable energy story, but a lot of focus was on Standing Rock and the protests that were there around a pipeline that was going through some native lands. And there's now another pipeline, as I understand it, the Keystone XL pipeline has been approved. Is that something that...
Nick, with the Standing Rock which was just last year, we were there 7 times. We went there each time with solar applications, solar chargers, solar air furnaces, and each time we went back to train people, build the awareness, and at that time during Standing Rock, they were just crossing this little area of water in a very powerful way, Nick, very peaceful and prayerful. They were standing up to big oil. And currently, we have the Keystone pipeline coming through South Dakota, which is 300 miles long. There's 2 camps established, and there's a 3rd one happening. And each of those camps are looking towards us to provide renewable energy technologies to them, to train the people in that. So just recently, we held a workshop, and we built a light in a bucket, a light in a 5-gallon bucket, solar light. And then we built a Dowley charging station. And then we built this 48 volt mobile power station. And so the tribes, the camps are looking towards us to bring renewable energy to the camp. So, they're looking towards us. So we're very excited and would like to continue to help them and then build that awareness. We need to be on a green path. This old tarnished path isn't working for us.
Yeah.
So we need to be over here. So we're kind of, I'm so excited about it, but I really don't have the financial power to create the technical support as well as bringing the awareness out on what kind of living that we should be living.
Well, you're doing so much in so many fronts, and I'm sure that, you mentioned your work has already affected, I don't know, how many people do you think it's already benefited?
Oh, thousands.
Thousands, yeah. So
Grandma included.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And the engagement with the protest camps for the pipeline is just sort of stark, juxtaposition between the old way and the new way, which is in some ways the old way, which is using and utilizing and benefiting and appreciating the sun.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I'm just so happy to get to hear a little bit of your story. Mm-hmm. Is there a website if somebody wants to learn more and get involved?
Yes, everybody, please look for us on the World Wide Web. Ask Grandpa Google about Trees, Water, and People.org, as well as Lakota Solar Enterprises.
Trees, Water, and People, or just
Trees, Water, and People.
And people.org.
Yeah.
And Lakota Enterprises.
Lakota Solar.
Lakota Solar, okay, I'm sorry.
Lakota Solar, yeah.
And if I've been too confusing in sharing those addresses, you can always go to the eTown website, and we'll have links to your sites, too.
Yeah. As well as I would like to make an announcement as well. We just became nonprofit. So we're hoping to move forward. So we don't have a web page yet, but you can look for us. Maybe ask Grandpa Google in a month or so. Ask him about Red Cloud Renewables.
Red Cloud Renewables.
Red Cloud Renewables.
Okay. All right. We're going to keep an eye on you, Henry.
Thank you, Nick.
We're going to really try to keep in touch. And I'm just so proud of the work you're doing. And it's a beautiful story. The prodigal son returns and really makes a difference.
Yeah, I couldn't do this myself. It was a movement of the grassroots people, movement like people in your audience that made this happen. We can continue to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah. Miniwi Choni.
That's Henry Red Cloud, the founder of Lakota Solar Enterprises and Red Cloud Renewable Energy Center, the winner of this week's eChievement Award. Thank you, Henry.
Those stars in the city lights shine around me here tonight, and I can't imagine being here without every certainty and every doubt keeps me on solid ground. It is magnetic. It is magnetic. It is magnetic. It's great, my monitor.
Hi, this is Nick Forster from eTown. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.